Ultimate Mission is another slop of films starring Andy On, but this time round they have brought on board Kenny Tse, best known as DP for such films as Donnie Yen's SPL, The Battle of Lake Changjin, Dynasty Warriors, and many, many more. This is not Kenny Tse's first directional gig, having worked as director on several web series. The film sees a virus that has been plaguing a fictional island named Asal Island, and foreign countries have cut off access to Asal Island, isolating the island and causing a damaging population decline. The local government, led by Ong, played by Michael Wong, takes matters into his own hands and threatens to unleash the virus to the world if his demands are not met. Elite soldier Guo Zhengfeng, played by Andy On, is forced to partner up with his father's ex-commander Li Chao, played by Francis and Guo's love interest Peng Ji, played by Rima Zeidan, are sent to infiltrate the island to retrieve a very important individual, but things don't go as smoothly as they have planned. Andy On has been starring in a whole lot of terrible web films of the late, and he seems passionless all the time. Here he's no different. He barely emotes and he delivers his lines in this boring manner, matters of course made worse by the terrible scripts. Everyone seems to be phoning it in. Even the veteran Francis seems to give a very sporadic performance. Ling Hong is in this thankless role as a commanding figure running things at a control base, but she just carries this pained look throughout. Kenny Tse shows very little in directional skills. Actors are boring as hell and they just move from point A to point B with very little effort. There's no characterization for anyone and the emotional beats do not work at all, considering you barely see any significant interaction from the necessary people. Then we have the action, which is atrocious. The film mainly focuses on shootouts, but they are beyond boring. People fire a million shots and happily stand in the open, but they won't get hit. Bullet hits lack any real impact. There is a moment when someone gets hit and they are so obviously throwing themselves off a railing, not looking like a bullet impact that causes the throw. The sheer incompetency in the action is astounding. The opening sees an explosion and the explosion launches someone over some railings off a staircase, but it's so clear that someone's been pulled up, then suspended, and then dropped. But it's not one fluid motion, but motions played out, making it look obvious that it's wire work. There's a pointless fight scene midway through between Andy On and this nameless character. The choreography is boring and has no real power to the punches or kicks. On slams his attacker to a pole and he does not react at all. The finale is the worst of all and is a culmination of all the problems made throughout the film. People fire countless bullets, people stand in the open, no visual impact, and many, many more problems. The film builds up to this big fight scene between Samuel Koo, one of the villains, but it's lackluster. The choreography is boring and it's very short. You are supposed to believe Francis is this very skilled individual, but he looks and acts the opposite of this. He does not make any real tactical decisions and he barely fights in the film. Worse is how uncomfortable he looks holding and firing a weapon. Andy On fares better, handling firearms, looking like a military trained person, but when they are supposed to move as a team, they show very little in terms of military maneuvers. They don't check corners, they don't watch each other's backs. There's literally nothing to indicate that they are highly trained soldiers. There are countless moments where they blindly walk in and not check any corners just to be attacked, and luckily the enemies are always incompetent at hitting anyone. Nearing the end there's this emotional self-sacrifice, but it felt emotionless since the two actors showed very little in terms of chemistry and there's just so little in terms of character development. There are some very badly misplaced comedy laced throughout, appearing at random moments sometimes during serious scenes. It never feels funny and it's more cringe inducing. You have a guest appearance from the legendary Chin Ka-lok, but he does barely anything in the film. He doesn't do any action and brings no real character to the role. This film has some very terrible dubbing laced throughout. Almost everyone is dubbed, including the main characters and even the minor actors. The control base has this group of Caucasian actors and they are horribly dubbed into Mandarin. Francis is also dubbed into Mandarin, probably due to him not being a native speaker. Then you have the atrocious Michael Wong, who is terrible in whatever language he speaks, and here he is dubbed horrendously. Andy On and Rima Zeidan are spared from the bad dubbing. Kenny Tse is labelled as DP on the project, which is conflicting considering he should be focused on performances, but even the cinematography is bog standard. There's nothing of note, but I can't say it's horrible, it's just your typical web film affair. This is just a bad film through and through. There's nothing worth recommending here, and if you need an Andy On fix, then he has other half decent web films out there.